2012, exactly 9 years now. Prior to that, I had a retail store. So I was selling all the shoes and bags and nice, pretty things. But it wasn't exactly fulfilling. I was going to Europe every month and every other month to source these items until this idea came. Interestingly, I'm a Christian, but this is not about religion. But I just sat in my prayer corner. As cliche as it may sound, but I was seeking something. I was looking for something. I was looking for financial independence. So even though I had this other business that was interesting to some other people, I was broke. So sometimes as business owners, we're actually running an expensive hobby, right? We're enjoying it, but we're here now to understand our P&L. I remember my first day at the OMP class, I said to them, I've come here just to understand the accounting sides of things. I left OMP and my very first action was to fire the accountant because I understood better. I understood that he didn't know any better than myself, so he might as well go. So 2012, that journey began like this. I went to the market. 48 hours after I got the idea. I'm not one person to overanalyze things. I just go with the flow. I believe that there's always a reason for something. I believe that for every idea that you have is because you have the capacity. You may not be fully equipped at that time, but that's my own personal philosophy. So within 48 hours, I was in the market, 200 naira, bought 2 mudu of corn, processed the corn, put it in one of those things, and that was it. Thankfully, there was the BlackBerry, so I just sent a BlackBerry message to say, pap for sale. I remember that 200 naira own could go in the this custard bucket, right? That was what it could fit into, and someone bought it off me. I'm like, okay, fantastic. I went right back, and that began Bubez Foods. The name of my retail store at the time was Bubez Place. So the Bubez Foods came because I just wanted people to connect and know that it was me selling the pap. There was no need of overthinking anything. So you would walk into my retail store to buy your Dolce & Gabbana shoes for 100,000 or whatever amount you were going to spend. But I had my nice brown cooler that could take, I remember so well, it could take 12 of those packs of pap. So I knew that per cooler was 7,200 naira. But yet that was the one that interested me a lot more than the shoes and the bags you were coming to buy, irrespective of how pricey it was. But I did have a dream, and that dream was simple. How do we take Ogi and put it on the shelves outside of Nigeria? How do we put this product together in a way that it can, stay side by side with any other product? I married Google at that time. So every day I'm Googling, I'm thinking, what equipment. I didn't have any mentor per se in the manufacturing space. Right now it's a bit more interesting because a lot more people are going into agribusiness, a lot more, policies favor made in Nigeria products and all of those. But at that time there was nothing. So it was either the big giants, and I didn't know anybody to mentor me, so I had to really learn and make all the mistakes by myself. So 2013, I remember I had found that there was this food manufacturing fair in Dubai at the time, and I went to look for equipment. I knew my processes now. It's to grind the corn, it's to sieve the corn, it's to do all of those things. Oyibo does not have, they don't know pap. So it wasn't one of those businesses where you could go in and say, oh, I want a starch line, right? So it was a case of mix and match. So what do I think can grind for me? What do I think can sieve for me? What do I think can filter for me? All of just all those kind of things. And it was quite interesting, challenging at the same time. Nobody, of course, at that time was doing pap in that way. So this second slide was actually what scaling meant to me at the time. So scaling was, I had bought this deep freezer that could take more, right? So this was, my goodness, this was fantastic growth. Going from my brown cooler that could take 12 to this. So I took an office space just to sell pap. It didn't make sense. It didn't make sense to anybody that pap, right? A friend of mine walked up to me and said, why pap? And I remember so well. She said, why not donuts? Those were her words. Because she felt that Pap was demeaning, Pap was low class, Pap was...
Not cool.
He wasn't cool. I said to her, I said, you know how you used to tell them that your friend had a retail store where she was selling the Gucci's and the Versace's and all that? Tell them she sells Pap, that's fine. Leave the shame to me. if I'm not befitting enough to be your friend, just leave the shame to me. And I had to call myself a name that was, what people would call demeaning, but in a way that you can't shame me. It's like you can't shame the shamer. So I started to go by the name Akamu, right? The pap seller. So every time I introduce myself anywhere, I'll say my name is Ijoman Dube, the pap seller. Then by the time they see what the business is doing, but when you see the pap seller, nobody knows it's this big. But it's not big. I'm a pap seller. That's all I do. And I'm here today talking about pap. So 2013, I went on that fair, came back, made some contacts, and all of that interesting story. The next question was, how do I now scale from this and sell to more people? The next step was NAFDAC. I remember renting a home, and when I was renting that home, in my head was I would use a particular space for the production so that NAFDAC could certify me and all that and all that. And then these guys came. And I said, no, they can't use this space. You have to be joking. But I remember that the lady, the public analyst that was going to help me with my tests and all, we kept looking for buildings. And one day I said, I actually own a piece of land somewhere very far. And that's the way I told her. I said, somewhere very, very far. She said, you must be joking. So why are we looking for? I said, how am I going to be going there every day for work? At that time, I didn't realize that for a factory or manufacturing space, I didn't need to be, in the city center. It was just about where do you have space. I remember so well that December 2014, I went to clear the space. So I don't even know if you can see the areas, the surroundings. So it wasn't a developed area, right? But hey, we have to do what we have to do. There's a dream and there's a drive. And that dream is to sell Bubez Pap across the world. Nothing was going to stop us. So I started to put that building together. It was the BQ, because it was within an estate, a residential building. So we put the BQ together. And it took us 4 months, quite interestingly. I don't know how, but it did take us 4 months. The roads weren't even tarred while I was doing this building. 2014, we finished the BQ. I remember so well in 4 months. So by April 2015. And I walked into that space. And I said, this is too small. It can't take the dream. Then I started this bigger one, by May 2015, 4 months later. At that time, part of the guys that I had met in Dubai, we got an equipment for the technology. So it's called the MAP, Modified Atmospheric Pressure, Modified Atmospheric Packaging. It's a system that introduces inert gas, nitrogen, and takes out the oxygen to stop fermentation. So it was no additives, no preservatives, just pure technology. And we did that from 2015. God bless his soul. So we had bought that equipment from Turkey, got some from Italy, got some, just randomly, made some locally as well to get us going. So May 2015, we started to put that together. And in 1 year, by May 2016, we were done. But it wasn't that we set out to do the whole building. I had said to the architect, listen, let's just do the decking so that we can have this ground floor. We got to the decking. I said, okay, how many coaches of block? Because I learned to build at that time. How many coaches of block so that we can just go up to lintel level? We got to lintel level. It doesn't look so pretty. Okay, so how many coaches more? Like that, but we finished that in a year. At this time, this was 2016. 2016, the recession happened. And dollar went from 190 to 360. No. So that's right now. I'm talking about 2016. It did? In 2016? Oh, fantastic. Right? Yes, so I know that certain equipment that has kept the money to buy, I could no longer afford. So that's all I remember. I remember that, of course, we had taken funds from, it was family and friends funding at that time. We didn't have the balance sheet to show that we could borrow. We didn't have all of those interesting things that the bankers would ask for. I don't know if there are any bankers in this OMP class, right? I think that they shouldn't be running businesses. I think that they shouldn't be talking to business owners. They don't get it. That thing that you're looking at in the P&L is not the real life story. Right? The real life is the challenges. Give us someone who understands that the curve for running a business is not straightforward. Don't ask me for P&L graphs that don't make sense. Right? But that was 2016. But we were determined. The dream was still the same. How do we sell pap across? Same 2016, I tried to sell the powdered pap. But I didn't have the right technology, so I didn't like the feel. It wasn't a quality product. It wasn't premium product. For us at Bubez Foods, our core value is excellence. Thanks to Prof. Tayo. So I have about 5 different core values. But 2 years ago, after I had left OMP, we had a session that he didn't realize was a session. And he taught me the principle of a one core value. So one message strategy, because I put up something that looked a bit all over the place in terms of our core value. And then I had to go back. So for us, really, our one core value is excellence. So it's excellence driven by teamwork, it's excellence driven by respect, it's excellence driven by integrity, it's excellence driven by commitment. But the singular core value for us is excellence. So how I would define Bubez Foods today is that Bubez Foods is an excellent company with excellent people and an excellent product. So that the word excellence, runs through the one message strategy. So that even if you talk to the security guy at Bubez Foods, he will talk to you about excellence. I will digress a little bit. Some months ago, we bought grains in trying to find, cheaper sources. We bought grains from one of the northern states in 7 digits, and it came and it wasn't our quality. And we had to trash it because it was going to mess up with the excellent product. So back to 2016. Been a journey and a half. 2016, 2017, 2018, we were still selling frozen because I couldn't find that technology that I wanted for the powdered product. And of course, with the frozen product, you're talking about a cold supply chain in an amazing country like ours, Nigeria, where you have to provide your own power. And we had a cold room in the facility because remember, no additives, no preservatives. So we finish and we push into the cold room. So all of this, going on, but for me was proof of concept. I needed to prove that this is possible, this is achievable, it can be done. Were we making money at that time? Well, you know that the answer is no. But we kept going. By 2018, we had done the data. It was clear, the factory at the time was in Abuja. It was clear that we had more customers in Lagos. Lagos had the numbers. So 2018, we decided that we were going to move the factory to Lagos. So I did the relocation, but we left the factory in Abuja for people to run and all of that. By 2018, end of 2018, that dream of selling the product outside of Nigeria was about to materialize. Because also sometime in 2016, in terms of market research and trials and all of that, I had taken a few of the products to sell in the UK. I had taken a few of the products to sell in America as well. So I remember landing in New York and going to the post office and mailing pap, to all the people who placed their orders. So people had placed their orders, it was $5 per piece, right? And people paid before the product even got it. I'm like, okay, we got it. So this was 2016. So by 2018, we produced a 20-foot container of Bubez Pap. So that pap that you saw on the first slide that looked, not exactly very nice, started to look this way in the stores. And we were in a few states in Nigeria also at that time. So we did this container shipment to the US. And it was cold supply, reefer container. So your country couldn't send a container of yam, right? No, but we sent it. And it got there in one piece. However, there was another challenge. When we were at Apapa Port, it was there a couple of weeks on ending. So you're powering the reefer because it must be controlled temperature.
For 2 weeks.
2? That would have been nice. 4? That would have been nice. Over there. So this was September. It didn't get to the US until the 1st of February 2019. And because it was our first attempt at export, so we didn't really understand, the batching and all that. So our best before date was exactly 8 weeks to when it arrived in the US, meaning $35,000 down the drains. We couldn't sell. It was 2 months before the best before date. So I remember flying back to Houston, and I told them, I said, listen, convert it to marketing costs. What's important is that it gets into the hands of people. And we brought out the pallets. And that was me standing by one of the pallets. And just making sure that people got the product. So that's the guy who owns the store. So you can see the product right by there. The container was already at the port, and I flew back to Houston to find a buyer. But I had produced. How we look at challenges, of course, affects our journey. I look at the challenges as it's one of those things. It's part of it. That was in 2019. Same 2019 because there's a dream, there's something that's been going on in my head that I need to figure out, another equipment. But I didn't know what equipment would give me that. Don't forget that I'm looking at different applications from different industries, right? Eventually, the company found out that the equipment they needed to test was in Massachusetts, in America. So this container that had gotten to America became a blessing because we had to now send one of the pallets from Houston back to Massachusetts for the test. This was not there, but this is one of the tests as well. In terms of where we are going, LBS will talk to us about sustainability long term. These are not things that we are bringing out right now. It's like our midterm goal. But we started the testings and all of that 2019. For example, the test that we did in Massachusetts at the time, we had paid $10,000 just for that equipment testing to be sure that it can do what we wanted to do. It gave the Americans tough time because for them, in their products, they must add something. But it took them, so something a test they thought would take them 3 hours, took them 48 hours, 2 days. Because I told them, I'm not adding anything to my product. No additives, no preservatives. That's what we're selling, and would keep it that way. That happened March 2019. But this particular slide was now in Denmark, just in terms of where we are going, where we want to be, the dream, the focus, the challenge, and the obstacles. We got to Denmark, did this particular test. We couldn't also move corn from here to Europe. It was a very long process. I had to buy some Danish corn for this particular one. So I remember making pap, seated with them there in Denmark. Okay, so before I get here. So all of that was 2019. So by 2019, we were making so much progress. Towards the end of 2019, the last phase of the test was some tests we were going to do with Tetra Pak in Sweden and all. January, the whole COVID thing started to come up. Now, don't forget that I had moved to Lagos because I wanted to set up factory in Lagos. And now you're telling me about COVID. And we had done all these testings that were supposed to be pre of something great. And now there is COVID. With the food product, you could move. But we were in Abuja. We are cold supply chain. We only air freight. We had a retail store in Lagos. We had in Port Harcourt. We could only air freight. That's how we move our products. The airspaces were short. So even though we could produce, we couldn't move product around. So we were shut down for a year and a bit. I remember that I had also just traveled for like 10 days. It was a 10 days short trip to the UK, which ended up becoming 5 months with the lockdown. So I had to come back on an evacuation flight. In the midst of that challenge, I had to find a buyer in the UK. My people made sure they sent me a few sample products. Of course, planes were leaving out of Nigeria, but not locally. But this was towards when they had opened the local spaces. Around August or end of July, something of that nature. I had that meeting, very interesting. Because we're cold supply product, one of the downsides to it is that we can't share container. It If we were a powder product, we can, I don't know the term, but we could share containers with others. But we couldn't. It meant that if anybody wanted to buy even just the pallet, we have to fill a container to manage the cost of shipping. Here we were, produced the whole container as well, even though people had wanted less than what could go in a container. But like I said, I'm daring, I'm a risk taker. We did this production. Export Promotion Council came in at the time. They needed news. They were going to help. We flew the product to the UK, an entire container again. UK went into their second lockdown. It's almost like, Ijoma, are you jinxed? No, it's every other business. Just that people don't talk much about the challenges. But the way I looked at all of these things, and so it's been 9 years of this journey. 9 years, so 3 years at home, and then it's been 6 years of setting up factory with all of these very crazy things that I'm talking about, is that I said to myself, it was my brand building years. It was me, proof of concept. The second lockdown, what it meant is that we're paying warehousing costs in the UK because they were on lockdown. So every month, you do that exchange and pay your bills in the UK. This is just 2020. By November of 2020, we got a space here in Lagos. So the whole COVID thing had taken over a year and a bit from the initial plan of the launch and the takeoff of the Lagos factory. We did a lease, got the facility. I had gone from someone who had all that heads of units, so head of production, head of sales, head of admin and customer service who were reporting to me, to be standing alone like I was standing in 2012. It was time to start over, 2021. And I went back to that place and I said, how did you start in 2012? There are times when you have to go back to the very beginning. There are times you must reset and go back to how you started. So it was me starting at scale, but starting alone again. We had to do the renovation work and all of those very, the boring side of things. But my projections would start in April of 2021, this year that we're in, but really start business, say around August, because I had thought it would take a little while to pick up and, However, those work of the yesteryears is now beginning to speak, which is why I'm standing here. Not for just the challenges, but the different opportunities. I remember that I had to do an article at a point, something about, managing a business in crisis. During the crisis times, the whole of last year, we were talking about leadership in crisis, this. Right? It was about seeing the opportunities in the crisis. It was about not giving up because of the dream. It was about knowing that it's going to work if I keep working on it. In the last 5 months, Bubez Foods has done their turnover is their past 6 years turnover in 4 months. From April till July. So that should be 5. May, June, July. Yeah? What? This is August.
Yeah. 4. May, June, July. 4 months.
Oh, wow. So I'm actually not calculating right. We've done 6 years of revenue. The target and projection for the year was that if we manage to get into 5 states for this year, fantastic. But we're currently selling in 11 states. We're currently 3 export countries. So it's UK, it's US, it's Australia. We have distributors and wholesalers moving the product. So this was me in Maiduguri. So that's the theater commander for the guys. That's the guy overseeing the Boko Haram things and all. So we went to give them some Bubez Pap. It's been a journey and a half. And we haven't started. We're just about to begin. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are you still in debt? Or
We're still in debt. Somebody was asking me, do you need equity? Yes, I need equity, but I said to her, not now. I don't mind to take your debt convertible to equity at a later date because I know where we're going. So if I sell equity right now, I'm shooting myself in the leg. It's called long term.
You are in the business.
Mm-hmm.
At your starting point, university graduates will not join you. You will. How are you able to build your team?
How I'm able
because
to?
You are not in an attractive.
Fantastic.
Business.
So the truth is this: your job as a CEO is to sell the vision. I don't care about business. So we started the very first set of staff June 8th or July 8th, 2015. And I still have them. Now the factory is no longer in Abuja, so one of the production people is now in sales. He's not the one guy in Abuja because he doesn't want to leave Bubez Foods. And he sent me a message by himself. I didn't send it to him. He sent me a message. He said, I am going to be in all the stores in Abuja very soon. This is him from production. So he came in as a machine operator. He's seen us. He's seen the growth. They know that we're going somewhere to happen. Can I tell you something very interesting? Right now, so I'm selling Ogi and you think it's not attractive. Peak milk has Ogi right now. So the question you want to ask yourself is, what did Friesland Campina see that you are not seeing that you're calling it unattractive? Why is peak milk selling Ogi? Finally, people are beginning to see that thing that I've been saying for years. For some other person, it might look like competition. They are coming to crush you. No, they've come to help me open the market. Because what they've done is that when I'm talking to investors, I need to talk and get you to understand what I'm saying.
But now you can refer to them.
Right now, I just tell you that pig milk is in the market.
So that's proof of.
Proof of everything.
So I'm just asking, the gaps in your personality that your business needed, did you get people to reach, or you found a way to learn through those things?
So the majority of my mistakes and the debt that you asked was caused because I thought that the people could fix the problem. So I was hiring the MSCs and whatever.
Wow.
It meant that our overhead was high, and I trusted that they could run the business. So all of that debt happened just because I moved to Lagos and I let people to run the business. Do I have my weaknesses? Absolutely, and I hear you. I'm not really the operations person,
Okay.
but I'm the sales person.
Obviously.
Because I've sold the business to you, right? Right now, like, you know what I'm trying to say.
Let's just say